Let's talk to Gaurav Sharma, who's an independent energy analyst. Good to see you on the programme. Welcome. So this report suggesting that China's battery storage growth will slow this year. Why?
I think you good to be back at the program. I think the key thing to note here, first off, is that it is declining from a pretty high base. Now, there's several constraints here. It's a high interest rate climate. The way the energy transition is panning out, it needs to be reassessed. There are also other complications that involve sort of aligning China's grid with the direction of travel here. But what needs to be noted here is that it is declining from a low base. So if you're talking a cumulative growth of about 15 to 20% or thereabouts, it is not too bad. It's just that the sterling performance that we've seen in the last 2 to 3 years is not going to be replicated this year.
So this report suggesting this year's growth will be 25% below an ideal scenario. Experts said to be concerned about this. Are they right to be?
Partially, but not totally. I think what you look at it is the direction of travel for the energy transition between here and 2030, not just for China, but for the wider world. Now, if you're talking in terms of cumulative growth, much of this is going to come from Asia Pacific, 47% in fact, according to Bloomberg New Energy Finance. And bulk of that 47% growth that we will see in the next 6 years will come from China. So there will be ups and downs, swings and roundabouts, but I think China is on the right track. The question is the amount of money that needs to be poured in. So if you look at it holistically, if you take renewables to be at a very conservative base, a $1 trillion opportunity, a fifth of that needs to be invested in battery storage, in grid-scale lithium-ion battery storage. And I think the Chinese are leading that count in Asia. And I think if you take region-wise, Asia-Pacific is streets ahead of the Europeans, who are in fact streets ahead of the Americans. So if you look at it on a sliding scale, APAC, led by China, is still streets ahead.
So how important is this kind of energy storage? How does it actually work? Why is it needed?
That's a great question. You see, a lot of people talk about the energy transition. We talk about the proliferation of solar, of wind, of Asia, of Europe, of North America, heading down the energy transition track via renewables projects. But to sustain them, we need a resilient grid-scale lithium-ion battery storage, which can just keep the lights on if renewables energy is what our power mix is predicated on. That's why it's so essential. So when we talk about $1 trillion opportunity, at least a fifth of it must be allocated towards battery storage.
Gaurav Sharma, the independent energy analyst. Great to talk to you today. Thank you for joining us on the programme.